Good evening, everybody. This is Taryn, your host of Paranormal Brew. Every Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, some Sundays. Haven't had to do one of those in a while. Um, this evening, I have a very dear, close friend of mine joining us. Todd Peter. It's Peterson, but we'll call him Todd Peters. Todd Peters, who is the president of Bird Birdsboro Community Center, but it's Bird Mansion. In the paranormal world, we call it Bird Mansion. Um, Built in 1751. It has so much. I'll let he's better at the history than I am, even though I've heard it a million times. I've been little story is I found Birdsboro because everybody's like Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. Um, it's Birdsboro and the surrounding areas, which are real close to it, is like such a historic little area. Um, he's gonna have to remind me what the two houses are that I love because I can never remember their names. But it's got there's the Daniel Boone Homestead and Hopewell Furnace, and Abraham Lincoln's great grandfather's house. And there's like all kinds of cool stuff in this little town and surrounding areas. I think everything's Birdsboro out there, so I'm sure he'll correct me. But and so my father grew up in Birdsboro, and it's literally like this little town in Pennsylvania you wouldn't hear about unless you knew about it. And my dad lived there, my uncle, my cousins, and stuff like that. So my family grew up there. We had a grocery store, the Kerper Corner grocery store in this town. So my roots are there. And I remember my cousin, messaging me and saying, "Hey, Birdsboro, this place is having a ghost hunt." She knows in the paranormal. She used to live in Birdsboro. She's now in Georgia, but she saw this advertisement for a ghost hunt. So I reached out to the page and I said, "I do paranormal investigations. If you ever want to do something, blah, blah, blah." Well, lo and behold, the president of it gets back to me, and that winds up being Todd. And for the last 2 or 3 years, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but for the last 2 or 3 years, me and the Peaches have been investigating Bird Mansion. I brought in a select groups and select people that film. We had Dark Echoes Paranormal TV there. We had Paranormal Reality TV there to come in and film and investigate. And we love Bird Mansion. We love it. The Peaches love it. We're looking forward. There's events coming up, which we'll talk about. But without further ado, let me bring on Todd. Dun, dun, dun.
I have a question for you.
What?
Can I type to respond? I wanted to say hi to.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
But you can say hi to her. She'll hear you.
Hi, Jossie. Can't figure out where to type.
You might have to join the chat somewhere. I don't know. I'm never on that end of it, so I don't know what it looks like to be a guest on the
yeah. Oh well, it don't matter.
Ajing is checking in from Indonesia. Hi, Ajing. Jossie says, "I can't wait to get there." I know, me too. We're gonna have fun. So Todd is thank you for your service. We are Todd is a retired police officer who now
semi-retired.
Okay, semi-retired. Well, you never retire. You retire and then you all pick up these side jobs, whether it's security, PI, whether it's doing side jobs, whatever. But you guys retire, but then you don't really retire. When I retire, I am not doing a single damn thing except being retired. So I said, I kind of helped him brand his, he was into the paranormal when we first started talking. And knew you weren't really that involved with the paranormal.
No, I mean, I always was interested in it, but I never
investigated.
Never did stuff.
Yeah. And I had to apologize to his dear wife, Michelle, because every time I turned around, he was buying a new recorder some equipment. What's that noise?
I don't know.
Do you hear that?
I heard it. Wasn't nothing here.
On here. It sounds like water running or something.
Yeah, but it sounded like a voice at the end. It sounded like water running and then a male voice talking.
That was weird. Okay. I don't know if anybody else heard that. That was weird. Anyway.
We got an investigation going on now.
So yeah. Oh, a toilet.
Chauncey says it was a toilet. It wasn't my toilet.
Yeah, nobody flushed the toilet here either. It sounded like it was coming from inside the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it sounded like.
It wasn't anything in
It
my
wasn't
house.
anything around me or anything. I'm down in my little dungeon.
Yeah. It wasn't my house. It sounded like it was coming from the computer.
Did Jossie say she flushed the toilet? Or?
No, she said, "Oh, you flush." Yeah, but we wouldn't hear it if she did. No, she's saying I heard it probably. We wouldn't hear it if she flushed her toilet. All right. All right. So, and thank you, everybody.
This is the silliness we get when we get together.
Yeah, for sure. So Todd is a semi-retired police officer. Thank you for your service. And he's decided he wanted to get into some ghost hunting, and I was like, "Let's go!" I love. Oh yeah, she said no. I heard it. I love helping people get started into doing this stuff. We all do, right? So, Todd, how did you get involved with the community center before the paranormal?
Well, just, I mean, to make it quick, short, it was, we always called it the Y. So that's where we went as kids, and we just hung out there. So I've been going there since I was a kid. And then eventually, probably, I would say late 1990s, it might have been. I was asked to be on the board. So I got onto the board, and I've been on the board ever since, and became president of the board, and that's where I'm at now.
So just so you guys know, the Birdsboro Community Center is an active, like a YMCA for the local kids and stuff. They go there. They have a gym in the basement. People can use the gym 24/7. Is it 24/7?
Yeah, the fitness center is 24/7.
They have like a key fob to get in to go down there. Although that is one of probably the hot spots. So I mean, people are working out down there by themselves. If anybody's listening, just keep your eyes and ears open.
I got more stories.
That's awesome.
People. Yeah.
So the fitness center, which used to be a bowling alley back in the day, and my uncle, my great uncle, was a pin setter at the bowling alley at Birdsboro Community Center. So it's always cool finding out that where you're connected.
That was a very dangerous profession. I won't say profession, but they used to pay us to do it, but those pins would fly.
He was a pin setter. So the house. So let's talk the history of the house. That's what I love. I love the history of Bird Mansion, and so it's Birdsboro Community Center, but in the paranormal world we call it Bird Mansion because there's part of this location that was built in 1751, and then there's sections built to it. It's huge. It's a huge property, but the original was 1751.
Yes.
Go ahead, take it away, Todd. This is you.
All right. Well, William Bird was an iron master, and he used to work over in the Pine Forge area. He started in the iron business, and he wanted to create his own forges. So he came up, he found where Hay Creek met the Schuylkill River, and that's where he decided that he wanted to start his business, his industry, his forges. So in the 1740s, he started building his house there. He lived down in the Monocacy area at that time, but he was building his house up here. And by 1751, it was completed. So it was a beautiful, I mean, if you count the basement and the attic, talking 4 floors, beautiful stone house and everything. So he lived there. He had his forges. started up the business. Um, he was married to his wife, Brigitta, and he died unfortunately in 1761, at which time his son Mark, he wasn't the oldest son, but he was the oldest living son, took over the business and everything. So then Mark Bird took over, and in 1777 he added an addition onto the original mansion. So it stayed that way for a long time, and then eventually Mark Bird went bankrupt, basically because the newly formed government of the United States of America refused to repay him all the stuff that he contributed to the war.
I heard that was a thing, though. I heard they did it to a lot of people.
Yeah, they didn't do a nice job. He actually wrote them. I was just reading this up. He actually wrote them a letter demanding that they send him the chain link chain, or the link chain that they had strung across the. Well, I'm trying to think of. I'm having a brain freeze. Went past West Point, the river in New York, the Hudson, that they strung across the Hudson so the British couldn't get their ships down. And because now there's rumor talk, I never saw anything officially about that he actually constructed that at the forges, but I never really saw that. But he did demand to have that back as payment for what they owed him, and they denied it. So that was, yeah. So he ended up, following the war. A big flood had hit the town, destroying a lot of his properties. There was also a depression. They had hard times after that, and he just went bankrupt, and he ended up moving down to North Carolina with his family. So then after he moved out, it gets like a little tricky. A lot of people came back and forth. There was a John Nixon, Cadwallader Morris, John Lewis Bard. These individuals all were partial. They owned the property. One of them was James Wilson, who's a very interesting character. He was married to William Byrd's daughter, Rachel, and he was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He was one of the first Supreme Court justices of the United States. He was appointed by Washington.
That's cool.
But then again, he ran into financial trouble. He was a Supreme Court justice, and he had a warrant out for his arrest for debts. So that's how the times were back then. But so it ended up going into the hands of Lewis Bard. Bard then, he passed away, and his wife held on to it for a little bit, but his daughter had married a man named Matthew Brooke. So they ended up with the properties, and that's basically where the Brooke family comes in. So basically, we always say Birdsboro is named after William Byrd, but it was built and created by the Brooke family. So the Brookes had it, and then after Matthew died, Elizabeth took the children to Reading, and it was leased a little bit, and then it became a hotel. It was called the Birdsboro House. And for much of the 1800s, now it was not a brothel like you think, but it's really cool because like up in the attic, there's still, you can see where the hotel rooms were. Like the beams are all still there, and all that, and the little cubby holes where they could put their stuff.
I mean, it was just enough room for a bed.
Oh yeah, it wasn't much. It catered to what happened. They put the canal through. And when I mean they put the canal through town, they put the canal right through the front yard of the Byrd Mansion. And I mean literally right, probably 10 yards, 15 yards from the front door. So they ended up turning the house, not literally, but they made what used to be the front of the house now became the back of the house. And how it faces today, that's how they had changed it to, because of the canal. But that's why it was a hotel then, because it catered to the canal traffic, to all the individuals coming through. Yeah, we have no historical records or anything that says that it was a brothel.
Yeah, that's just me, like saying that it was. I believe it was.
So after the hotel,
it's going to come out. One day it's going to come out. And you're gonna be sitting there like,
One day I'll find something hidden in a wall, and it'll be
that shit was right.
a list from the madam. But then it became like a residence for a little bit, and eventually it was during this whole time it was still owned by the Brook family. They were just leasing it, and then the Brook family in 1919 they just said, "Hey, Birdsboro, if you want this building and you start a community center for the kids, we'll sell it to you for $1." And they sold it to the town for $1, and that's how it all
So
goes.
then how did
Supposedly, there's rumor that there was a contract, and that contract said that if ever it doesn't, doesn't stay a community center, it goes back to the Brook family. But I never saw the contract. So,
and is there any Brooks left?
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some around. Yeah, there actually is, because I gave the Limerick Historical Society asked me to come down to talk about Matthew Brook and the family, because they're from the Limerick area, the Brooks. And I was doing the lesson and everything, and it's the first time I like went out and did a talk to like a historical thing, so I was a little nervous, but had a PowerPoint and everything. I did everything on the Brooks, and then at the end, this little old lady in the back, she raises her hand, and I'm like, yeah, and she goes, I just want to let you know that, I forget who I said it was. Well, I said Robert Brook was the last Brook in Birdsboro, and she goes, Robert Brook was not the last one in Birdsboro. It was my grandmother or mother. I forget what she said. Here she was a Brook.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, I am so glad I didn't know that before I started, because I really would have been nervous. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then she talked, and that was neat.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, they're still around. I mean, there's no Brooks in Birdsboro though. It's,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, that's a brief history of it.
So yeah, I was gonna say there's like so much. We have an hour, you know.
Well, and I forgot. So when they sold it to the borough to become
Right.
the community center, that's when they built on the gymnasium.
Right.
So the whole basketball court, the fitness center, and all that stuff, that was built on in 1919. And I think it was probably finished around 1921, somewhere around there.
Well, would it have been? It would have been the bowling alley, right? Not the fitness center.
No, it was half fitness. Back then, it was like up until probably late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember when we ripped the bowling alleys out. Half of it was because there's like that wall that goes down the middle with the little walkways.
Yeah,
well, one side was bowling alleys, the other side was a fitness center. Like a weight. I mean, back then it wasn't a fitness center like you have today. Like it was weights,
Yeah.
men's stuff.
Yeah. and the building is, how many square foot is the building?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's huge.
It's big.
It's huge.
It's big. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it from the outside, I mean, yeah, it's decent size.
Actually, from the outside, it doesn't look that big.
Yeah, the inside, it's
when you go in, you're like, holy shit, this place keeps going, and it keeps going. It's got 2 basements. It's got 2, you know what I mean? Like you just
well, it has a basement that has a basement.
Yeah.
There's the boiler room, and then the basement below.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just keeps going, and there's not a shortage area. There's not a shortage of an area there. Sorry, that we haven't experienced some of the haunting stuff. But before we get into that, any documented deaths on the property?
Not on the property. I mean, there's stories that Matthew Brook may have died in there. He died of a stroke. I have no idea what that beeping noise is. It's got to be this desk. Supposedly he died on the property, but there's nothing that says, that I can specifically, say that happened. Other than that, there was never any accidents that we're aware of. I mean, there could have been back in the day, back in the 1800s, a lot of things weren't documented, that are easy to find now. So
sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's people there that have died, but I can't say they died in the building. Now, I did just actually, because I always said about how the Bird children weren't born in I think the youngest one, William, was probably born after the house was built. But then I just realized that Mark's children, because Mark lived there then, all of Mark's children were born there. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
So when did you start? I mean, you've been going there for a long time, and there's a lot of people that go there. There's a lot, there's people there all the time. You have maintenance people there. You have, you have the staff, excuse me, the staff there. You have kids that go after school. You have programs there all the time. You have history stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
When did the whole paranormal thing start to?
Well, that's always been like ever since I was a kid. I mean, there's always talk, that it was haunted and stuff, and people have their stories, that they, the legends and everything that you hear. But my personal, I mean, when I officially, I always like, yeah, okay, well, whatever. But when I was working out one morning before work by myself in the fitness center, and I'm on the elliptical machine, and I just had this feeling that somebody was watching me, and I turned to my right and I looked, and standing in the middle of the walkway from the one side of the fitness center to the other, there was an old guy standing there. And I said, by the time my head came down from hitting the ceiling, he was gone. And I was the only one in there. There was nobody else in that fitness center at that time. I mean, this was like 4 a.m. And yeah, that's the first time that I was like, okay, this place is pretty legit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, what did you do after that? Did you tell anybody? Did you try to find out who this guy was? Did you try to
Well, I left. I grabbed my stuff and I was out of there. I was like, yeah, okay, this is a little creepy, but then I got more into it and everything. Now I'd probably sit there and try to talk to him.
Right. Sure.
But I mean, Goose worked there for years, and
Well,
she would
she's a
always have stories.
Yeah.
Right, lots of stories where she would close up at night, and she'd get out to her car and turn around and the lights are on in the gym, and then she'd go back in and turn them off and come back out to her car and they're on again. And after like the third time, she's just like, okay, I'm not going back and doing it.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, and even the gym always gives me a feels, but it's so hard to investigate in there because of the echo and because of the noise.
Sound and
really hard.
Yeah,
But
that's the hard part because 724 runs right next door, and cars are, yeah.
But that doesn't mistake all the stuff that we've captured there. I mean,
no.
Well,
no, there's legit like
I mean, like
EVPs that.
Yeah, we've had. I mean, but even like what's interesting is like, so when the Peaches first started coming there, and we went there. Some of the claims of the place were footsteps and the front doors opening and whistling and this and that. And I mean, we've experienced all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We've experienced all. We had it all on record. I mean, remember that one night I heard a door shut. I didn't hear the footsteps, but
you were upstairs in the heritage room,
and everybody worked together to try to figure out what door it was. You know what I mean? Where it came from, and then we finally figured out it was the door at the bottom of the steps. So the room next to the heritage room. I know this is probably sounding really confusing.
It would have been the front door back in the day.
Which would have been the front door.
Yeah, back in the day before they turned it.
Right. And the girls one morning thought you came in.
Mm-hmm. I think that was that Jossie and Lauren, I think.
Yeah, they I think they heard I hope they're watching. I think they heard a whistle. Then they thought it was you, or they heard the door. They thought it was you.
She said, well, I think, did she say they thought they heard chimes? Lauren said they heard chimes.
Yeah, and footsteps, and they were waiting for you to come in, and you never did. And then like a half an hour later, you came walking in.
Yeah.
But that's what's funny, right?
You were here before, and I'm like, no, I just got here. Yeah. But that is, there are reports of that from other people.
Right. So I was going to say, tell the story. Is it the janitor or?
No, it was a former board member who he's a big guy and he's scared to go into the building. I don't, but he's afraid to come back in. But he was doing security the one night for the art show because we would have an art show every year up in the gym. So he would stay there overnight to make sure nobody came in. And he was down there watching TV in the TV room, and he said he heard a door go and he heard footsteps coming across the floor, like walking towards him. And he said like the glow of the TV was lighting up the room and there was nobody there. And this footsteps went up the steps and then came back down and went out the door. And he heard the door go.
So,
and then it happened the next night. And then that's when he was like, I'm out of here.
it's crazy that we've tried to get him to come and talk to us and come to the mansion when we're there and tell the story. He won't come in.
No.
He won't come back.
No, he won't. He's
he's
I won't call him a name, but
scared to come back.
He's a good guy.
I mean, I guess once you experience something like that and you're not familiar with anything, I could see somebody being scared. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I
oh yeah. Well, it's like the first time when I saw that guy, it was like, that was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. I tell everybody all the time, if we didn't know what ants were and one just went crawling across our table, we'd be like, what the fuck is that? You would freak out. You'd be scared because you didn't know what it was, Yeah.
I mean, you know it. Like we go actively looking for it.
Yeah.
And if we see it, it's like, it like gives you that little shock, like, whoa.
Yeah. We Lauren's asking, did you ever catch anything on camera?
Well, we have security cameras, but they don't have sound. They don't have sound. So it's just camera systems, and they're motion censored, as in like they're not going to run all night if nothing's going on. So if something moves or then the camera will record and that. So I have it on my phone, so I can like I'll just sit when I'm bored and like watch. But hold on, I'm being
Goose, when she was sitting in with the
so
shade. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
The producer just came in and okay. No. The one thing that we did get on camera was, and you were there, you and Rob were there. We were doing the Halloween tour, where the people would come in, and you guys had just left, and Goose was sitting in we call it the senior center because it used to be, we used to have a senior center that they would all come during the day, but they moved out, so now it's just we have a kitchen and tables and all that stuff. But Goose was sitting there, and I took the last tour up, and Michelle came with me, and we're halfway through the tour, and Goose sends a text saying, you need to get down here now because it's going crazy. So we get back, and I'm like, what's going on? And she goes, right after you and Rob left, she said the shade on the far window, like the plastic ones that come, the little louvers or whatever. She goes, it just blew forward and then came back. And I looked, and the window's closed, so it wasn't wind or anything like that. And it's like, oh, okay. So I went back and I looked at the cameras. Now we have a camera in that room, and then we have a camera on the far end of that room. Well, sadly, we also have those accordion doors, and we had them pulled closed just to like a little walkway because we were using that as a staging area. And then we would walk the people through there to start the tour. So that camera was blocked. It didn't capture that window. But the one that was in the room was up in the corner that was right. So on the camera view, you're looking basically straight down the wall.
Right.
Towards Goose. And the window would be like right up against, you would see it like this.
Right.
You could see the shade. And then what I still can't understand, which I've had theories and people also have told me theories, is as you're watching it, all of a sudden it stops recording for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then it comes back on. Well, when it comes back on, you can see that shade is now in a different position. It's pushed out a little bit, and it's not where it was. And and that's about the same time when you saw Goose, like she looked, like you could see she's sitting there playing on her phone, and she looked like towards the shade, and that's when the camera stopped. And then it comes back on like 30 seconds later, and
Goose is gone.
shade's moved. No, Goose is in the same.
No,
Goose is,
I know.
oh, yeah.
She was scared.
No.
She was like messaging us, like, "You mother, why'd you leave?"
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, she's still sitting there and everything. But yeah, so my thing is like, why did that camera turn off? And then, you know, people were saying about the energy, you know, like something pulling the energy and everything. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, I'm not scientifically, you know, an expert on all that.
Yeah.
But it was just weird. I mean, but the shade definitely moved. Like it was like I was hoping to see it like just go, but whenever it did that, it didn't record at all.
I like the activity in Bird Mansion. I mean, I feel like we get the most stuff in the 1751 area. In that whole, it could be the basement, you know, the middle floor, my favorite room that's my couch where I sleep on all the time. I sleep right in the living room. I've stayed there by myself overnight. I don't feel scared. You know what I mean? Like
It's never scary. Like it's not
scary at all. It's I think it's all familiar entities that are there. I think it's people that grew up there, or people that have been there, people that, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely a mixture of what we would call residual and intelligent, because I mean I want you to tell the fire and the whole story, but like, you know, the Sabrina thing to me was that was so fantastic how that came to be. And
that and the nub story.
Yeah, like
the last name.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of her name.
Yeah, Adelaide. I will remember this
the
thing.
medium.
No, I know, but I was telling about Sabrina. Like,
oh yeah.
So the peaches are there, and Sabrina's coming late because she wasn't going to come. She said she was fighting to come there. So she shows up and she starts talking to me, and she's like, "This woman has just been in my head all day." She's like describing this woman. She's like, she's very like, you know, she's got white collars, and she's like describing her dark hair, and you know, she feels very masculine to me, you know, like, you know. And then she said something about, you know, she's like, and a lot of times what people that can connect with the other side will say, you know, they'll use things that you're familiar with to get their point across. So Sabrina was just thinking like, she like, you know, something like a Mason. Like, was she a Mason? You know, that was because Sabrina was dealing with you know, she was into the Masons. And so she's like, you know, I'm seeing Masons, and you know, she's like describing this, and Todd's like, okay, I got to find out who this is. This person doesn't sound familiar, you know. And
she said she felt like she was a person of authority.
Yes, a person of authority.
And she said, did you have any female directors? And I'm like, just Lisa, and she's alive and kicking.
Yeah.
You know,
and she's like, she was somebody that wants to be recognized. She's feeling like, you know, she's saying all this stuff, and we're like, wow.
That's the neat part there.
Yeah. Yeah. So she wants to be recognized. So Todd automatically gets on his phone. So he starts, I guess you were messaging people.
Well, at that time, I remembered that we get a check. What do they call that when somebody passes and they leave money?
Well, that was
money in the center.
That was the other thing.
I remember that. I'm like, she used to be the treasurer.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing she says. She was like, she's given so much. She gives so much. She gives so much, and she's not being, you know, recognized. She wants to be recognized, and for her what she's done, you know, or something like that. Like, so this is like Sabrina, like out of nowhere, like just saying all this stuff.
And she said she wasn't old either. She said she was like 1950s.
Yes.
Like the way she was dressed.
Yeah, she said, I'm not getting anybody from the 1700s or the 1800s. Like, this was somebody more recent, like from like 1950s. And she kept pointing out these sharp white collars that she would wear.
Yeah,
sharp white collars.
Yeah.
I
called my mother-in-law because I couldn't remember the lady's name. And I called my mother-in-law, and she said, oh, that was Adelaide Finlay. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then that's when my geekness kicked in, and I do all my research stuff, you know, and I started looking up all kinds of things. And here we found out she was I can't remember what it was called, but in the 50s, it was, it was a thing for the Masons.
Yeah, she was a part of something
Patron,
amazing.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
like named the queen or something of this, and it was made that. And
Yeah.
and then I found some bunch of pictures of her, and in almost every picture, and this went on for weeks afterwards too.
Yeah.
Almost every picture that I find of her, she would have a sharp white collar.
Yep.
She wore sharp white collars.
Yep.
And yeah, that was
that was the most impressive thing I've ever, because she's like, I got to get this out because this has been on my head all day. She's like, I need to, and like I said, at first I was like, I don't know, like I got to look into it. I don't know of anybody. Then little by little, we started to piece it all together. So then when we did our investigation, we were kind of gearing it towards Adelaide because we were trying to see if that was who, and we got some answers. We were doing, EVP sessions, and I have I don't know where he's at, but my Zeus, I'm sure he's here somewhere. Oh, here he is. My trusted little cat, my little trigger prop here, where you turn on. You see he's got a bell. Hear it? So we had him out, and I think at one point we asked if you like animals, and we got an EVP.
If you like cats.
Yeah,
if you like cats.
Yeah, like we said, pet the cat. Now, what's interesting about that was that the EMF thing, or this didn't go off. That didn't go off. What sounded was the bell. And we were like, you were petting the cat? Like, do you like cats? And you hear no on the EVP. Mm-hmm. Todd, you actually reached out to family.
I reached out to some people, not family, but they were good friends, and we're very well acquainted with her. And I said, did she? And I didn't say cats. I just said, did she like animals? Like, did she have pets? And, oh no, she hated animals. That's what they said. And I was like,
we had EVPs that, and these are not used with a DR60. These aren't used with a spirit box. These are raw. Like, we were doing Q&As, and these are EVP sessions. You know what I mean? And some of them are bursts, and my recorders go the whole entire time. So I have all of it. I have all of us discussing stuff and talking about it and hearing things and this and that. So that's what I love about that. So Todd decides the other thing was funny.
We had just acknowledged the two directors from years ago, Eli and G, at an event we had. Like, I made plaques up for them with picture and all that, and we dedicated it to their family and hung them on the walls. And then when she said about wanting to be acknowledged, I went and did it for her.
We made a plaque, and they presented the plaque for Adelaide, and now it's hanging up.
Yep. And we never heard from her again.
And we haven't heard from her again. It's really crazy. Like, I remember, like Jossie said, that first night, that night was on fire with activity after we discovered Adelaide. It really was. Like, it was insane. We were all looking at each other like, is this real life? Is this really happening? Like, all this stuff. And ever since it kind of makes me sad, but happy at the same time, like, sad because I feel like a lot of the stuff we were interacting with, like, I feel like she was really communicating. Like, she was like, yes, I need to be heard. And then you guys honored her, and she's like, okay, I'm good. And, it hasn't been that much of her. Now, to me, it's more residual stuff, or, we get the occasional.
It's both, I think.
Yeah, no, it's totally
It's definitely both, because the one that really intrigues me the most is Nubs.
Yeah.
Is the old janitor. And that's the to go back to that one was, I think that was when Britt and them were there. Yeah.
Oh, that was when
because what's her name came up from Maryland, the medium.
Oh yeah, Erica.
And the first night we were up in the heritage room, and she said, do you guys smell pipe smoke? And you were there, and Britt was there, and I was there, and we all said, no, we don't smell anything. And nothing was done after that. It was like, let go. And then all during that night, she kept saying that she keeps seeing the letters SS Like she sees the letters SS and a gentleman, like a man, and everything, and I was just like, I have no idea. And the neat thing is because they were doing that live on their channel, people could type in questions and all that, and then they would radio that in, and it was pretty cool. But my one buddy, he said, "Hey, my dad said, what about Nubs?" And I was like, "Who's Nubs?" Like, I had no idea who Nubs was. And he goes, "Well, he was an old janitor back in the 60s. And he used to jingle his keys all the time and whistle and stuff like that."
And we hear that. We hear that stuff.
Yeah, we hear whistles. And he said, my dad doesn't remember his name, though. So, of course, but he said the one thing that he does know is that he was killed in front of the Colttown Fire Company. He got hit by a car. So I went into my research again, and in newspapers.com, I found the accident article for that, and the guy's name was Stanley Snyder, SS. So Nubs's name is Stanley Snyder, and she kept seeing this SS, and it was like, wow, that's pretty, and that's not something that she would, that she would be able to research or anything. So I was like, okay. So then the next night, she said, we were down in the basement, and she said, that gentleman's here again, with the SS. And I went, oh, I said, and I wanted to have some fun. So I said, okay, I want to say some names. And I said, Eli. I said, G. Millard. I said, Tony Morlino. I said a bunch of names. And then I said, Stanley Snyder. And she immediately said, bingo. Somebody said bingo in my ear. And it was like, okay. And again, can we prove that? No. Well, weeks go by after this, and every month I do a history lesson down at the center, and I was doing it on the 1972 flood. So I'm researching stuff, and I come across an old newspaper article, and there's a picture, and it's an old man standing next to the fireplace cleaning it, and it says Stanley Snyder, custodian of the Birdsboro Community Center, cleans up after Hurricane Agnes, the flood and all that. And guess what's in his mouth? A pipe. And it was like, okay. Now it's like, but yeah, it was just like all these little pieces and everything. It's I strongly feel Nubs is there.
Oh, I think that
there's an intellectual haunting.
Yes, absolutely. But there's also like that.
There's definitely residual too.
But. Yeah. That, I mean, I've heard talking, I've heard shuffling, I've heard, when we were, the boiler room, if you will, the boiler room, do you consider that going back down further, the boiler part?
The boiler room, the maintenance room where the boiler is,
the maintenance room
is 1920s.
All right, and then what?
And there's small steps that go down behind that go into the basement that were under the Mark Bird, where he put the addition on. That would be like 1777.
Where the fire in the hole came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
So back there, when we were in there, I heard like two or three men. And to this day, I'm telling you, I know you guys didn't hear it. And it's on my recorder, but it's so light, you can barely hear it. But there were people either arguing or talking, discussing something very serious because there was something going on outside, like probably back into the fitness center. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't very close to us. Now, granted, I know that there's the car washes right there and the streets are out there, but this was, if it was coming from, I wouldn't have been able to hear voices from the car wash. There was just too much in between to hear anything from the car wash. Yeah. And if it was coming from right outside the window there, it would have been a lot louder than what it was. And I could just tell.
Well, most everybody else would have heard it more than most likely too.
Right. And that, and then also seeing the shadow in the fitness center, because I don't see things.
Well, and that's another spot that we get a lot of stuff right in that bowling alley area.
Yeah. I saw that shadow on the wall. I get chills thinking about it because I've never seen a shadow like that before. like it was walking, like there was somebody walking in the other side of the room, and the shadow was, on the wall from them walking, but nobody was in that other side of the room.
Yeah. And I actually, I thought I saw that one night we were down there with, I believe it was with Dark Echoes. When we were there was a shadow that I thought I saw going across the thing.
Yeah.
But I've also just recently have two guys tell me down in the weight room, the one guy's, military, and the other guy's a police officer. And the police officer said he was in there early in the morning before work. And he said all of a sudden, like the hairs on the back of his neck started to stand up, and he felt somebody tap his shoulder, not once, but twice. And he said he got his stuff and left. And then the other guy, he said he was there by himself, and he said he swore he saw a person walk from the one side to the other, but nobody was there. So yeah, it's that's an active, that's the thing. And I don't know if I can talk about this. Matt's on here. Because watch Dark Echoes, because it will, the episode with Bird Mansion, because it will be on there because you were there with us when the cat ball went off behind me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can go into that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know what we can talk about, but it was. But that was a good night. And then even when we were down there the one night, we had, your wife was there, Michelle, and we had a couple other people, the Peaches, and we had a couple people there, and it was the first time that people always ask me all the time, like, don't you get scared? And normally things that happen, they happen so fast, you don't have time to get scared. Like, it's so fast, right? It's like the thing happens and it goes. Mm-hmm. Before your mind can even go, what was that? So we were in the fitness center, and in the back corner, I'm hearing shuffling, like somebody's walking but shuffling, and it wasn't stopping. It was lasting longer than a normal unknown experience. Like, and all of a sudden my stomach started to get butterflies. Like I was like, what is that? And I stood up, and Michelle heard it. Your wife heard it. And she's like, Todd, because it sounded like somebody was walking back there, mm-hmm. but nobody was back there.
Yeah. And that support, or that room, that back area.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're afraid.
Look,
like they're afraid to come close to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was that's the first time I ever felt a little, and it was just because, like I said, I'm like, wait a minute, this is lasting a little bit too long. Like what is happening? Because normally things happen like this, so you don't have time to even think or get scared. But like, I thought somebody or something was going to come walking from around the corner, and we were going to see some shit. Like, I was like scared. I was like starting to get scared.
Yeah. Well, and when we were down there, that same place is where, when we did the last year, when we did the ghost that we're doing 2 weeks from now, mm-hmm. The ghost hunt. But that's where we were down there, and that lady said, does anybody have a message for anybody here? Like, she just asked that question, and we had the EVPs going, the recorders, and 15 seconds goes by, and everyone's quiet, and it's what I hear, and other people hear it and everything. Just hear Todd,
mm-hmm.
And I'm going to play that for you, Annie, because you haven't, I haven't played it for you yet. But
I also heard. I know you don't think I heard the locker open, but I heard the locker open.
Yeah, we heard that. Yeah.
Well,
we were doing the walk. We were doing the walkthrough at that time. That we heard the squeak.
We heard the squeak of the locker open. Nobody was in there. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that happen at Bird Mansion that you're just like, and a lot of it kind of happens when you're talking to each other, or we're talking to each other. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're not paying attention to me anymore. So I'm going to whistle, or I'm going to, there's so many things. That's why I just leave my recorders going the entire time, because if we catch something, it's usually like when we're just talking and not doing EVPs. Speaking of events coming up,
mm-hmm.
talk about October 17th and 18th.
That's right. October 17th is the kid night.
We're doing a kids ghost hunt.
Kid ghost hunt. Sadly, I got to work that night till 10 o'clock, but
It'll be the peaches.
I'll be down. The peaches will be with the kids. But yeah, it's $25 a kid. You know, the parent can get in free. They got to have a parent come with them. But you know, the parents no cost. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's just, you know, teach them a little bit, you know, about how to do paranormal investigations and have them do a little ghost hunt.
Yeah.
And all that. I think that would be cool. And then Saturday, the 18th, is the adult one. And that's 8 to 12, I believe. Yeah, it's 8 to 12. But of course, I mean, if it's going, you know, I don't stop at 12 if things are still happening.
Oh yeah, no,
I'll stay there till 4.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's all a fundraiser for the community center, you know, help us because you know, we got a lot to keep that place up and running.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not. I apologize. It's not a fundraiser. It's a program. I have to correct myself on that.
Oh.
Because of United Way rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a program that we run. But yeah, it's fun. Last year we had a great time. I think we had like 40 some. 40
Yeah, there was a lot.
40 or some people come. You know, we had two groups that went around, and it was funny because our group, it was like, man, that was boring. You know, we didn't really, you know, get much. But once we listened to the EVP, like the recorders and the EVPs and all, we got stuff. Like, we were up in the heritage room, and somebody said about, can you knock? And you heard it because you said, you and another lady, you both said, did you hear that? And you thought I actually did it, that it came from
in the basement.
Up in the heritage room.
Oh,
We were all sitting on the floor, and there was like 2 knocks, and you heard it, and another lady heard it, and because it's on the recorders, you can like, did you hear that? And then you say, I thought it was coming from you talking to me, and I was like, I didn't hear anything. But then when you go back and you listen, you can hear it. It almost sounds like on a window, like boom. Like 2 knocks.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff that we hear there. I mean, we heard, you know, what are the wooden horses? You know, the wooden horses that people use to put wood on and cut.
Oh yeah.
We heard one of those move upstairs in the attic. Again, always hearing whistling and the doors shutting and opening and shutting and.
Well, and you asked about when we were in that room that night, you asked about Squire. The one picture I have on the wall, it's the name Squire Brook.
Yeah.
Don't know who I can never find any information on him, but Squire, and you say about Squire, and somebody else says about Squire, and in between that, you can hear a female's voice like go, Squire.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, because that's the thing, like I've noticed, like with EVPs, like when you talk, you can tell that that's your voice.
Right.
And when you talk, I can tell that that's my voice. But when you hear that, it's like, it's almost like it's
different.
It's there, but yeah, it's there, but it's different. You know,
right.
It has that like echoey, like.
It's just different. It's different. And when you hear disembodied voices, even for me anyway, I know the girls, right? I know how they sound. I know what they sound like. I know what they sound like if they whisper. I know what they sound like if, you know, they laugh. So whenever I hear something that just sounds out of sorts, I'm always like, did one of you guys just say this? Because it sounded weird. You know what I mean? Like and especially when you're like me when it comes to audio, you'll sit and you'll listen to hours and hours and hours of it. And the more you do it, the more in tune you come to with learning what is the environmental sounds.
Yeah, because it's never loud. Yeah,
no.
They can't scream. Sometimes. You know, it would be nice if it was, you know, sometimes, but most of the time it's like, you know, you're first just like, what? And then you have to go back and listen.
But you know it's out of place. You know it's something that wasn't there. You know what I mean? And that's why I love. But I think the more you do it, the more you get in tune with. That's why, like, one of my favorite things to do is to sit there and just be completely quiet, close
Mhm.
my eyes and listen to the location, because I want to listen to the noises of the house. I want to listen to the noises that it sounds like outside. I want to listen to everything and take it in, so that when I am investigating and then listening back, I can say, nope, I know that sound. That's the car driving over the manhole out front.
Yeah.
Or that's you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's certain sounds you
Well, you
learn.
get that. Yeah, you always get
Yeah.
that they hit the thing in the road.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's like and the other, just another one that we got was, now you weren't there for this one, but I was down there and Michelle was down there and Goose was down there, and we were in the heritage room, which is it's like our museum, and I had a recorder in there with us, and then I had a recorder all the way down on the other side of the Rachel Bird room, which is that's the room that has the creaky floor
Yeah.
on the second floor, and they were synced. So I turned them on both at the same time, so they're synced. And when I was listening to the one that was down on that room, you can hear us talking in the background, in the distance, like faintly, and then you just hear a man just say Michelle. Just says her name, and I heard that, and it was like, okay. So I said, Michelle, come here. I called her over, and I said, listen to this. And I didn't tell her what it was or anything, and she heard that, and she took the headphones off and said my name. And then I had Jackson listen to it, and he heard it, and then I went back and listened to the other recorder that was with us, and none of us said the name Michelle.
Yeah.
During that whole conversation and all that. So it was like,
that's what's awesome.
Again,
when you don't get it,
intellectual again. Like
you don't get it all the recorders, the chances of it likely being something of an anomaly like that is higher. Something about that Rachel Bird room, the Rachel Bird room also. I mean, there's a little mini kitchen in there. People have seen the water go on. Pots, right? A pot flew off the counter or something.
Yeah.
Somebody saw a man holding a beer.
The one maintenance worker claimed, he said that he saw a man standing at the top of the steps there holding a mug of
beer.
Like a mug of beer.
Yeah.
And I know Michelle's cousin, she used to work there, and she used to see cabinets, like all the doors would be open, which they were closed, and then they'd come back in, they're open.
But I find it so funny that most of these people won't, like, Goose has experienced stuff, but she doesn't like to come there. Michelle has experienced stuff. Michelle doesn't like to come there. Kid in the window.
Kid in the window. Oh, that's Goose. Goose says that she saw a kid in the window, on the outside of the window.
Yeah, on the second floor.
On the second floor.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that one.
But, well, I mean, I trust her. She doesn't.
Oh no, she's not. She's not one to make something up. Like,
no, not only that, but she's like, she's not, she's not in the paranormal. She's like, I don't.
Yeah.
So for them to say, for her to say she's experienced something, I believe it.
She'll tell Heather and that they're the ones. Ashley's the one who experienced the cabinets and everything.
That's cool. And her name is Michelle Goose. Because she wants it to be Goose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She wants the Goose to be, or whoever it was. She was talking to Goose, not her.
Yeah. See, look. So he may have been saying her name and not mine. She wants it so badly to not be her name.
Hey, which is possible because Goose knows everybody. So I'm sure
they know her as
paranormal in the spiritual world.
But they know her as Goose.
True. Some people call her Michelle, though.
Really?
There's people who call her Michelle. Yeah.
Well, so anybody that's watching, please go check out. There's a couple of Facebook pages. You have the Birdsboro Community Center Facebook page. You also have what's the history one that you run?
Birdsboro of Yesterday.
Birdsboro of Yesterday. That is a really cool page. That has a lot of the history of Birdsboro in it. You would not believe how amazing this little town is. I love it so much. I have this hanging on my wall. Hold on. Thanks to Todd.
What's that? What's the pennant?
I'm such a Birdsboro fan.
A lot of people don't realize that just outside of Birdsboro, across the river, is Abraham Lincoln's grandparents' house.
Great grandparents' house.
Great, and Taryn just thinks that she can just go into buildings.
It's Mordecai Lincoln's house.
Mordecai Lincoln. Yep.
And then where was the place where it had the big slab of and had all the signatures for the Declaration of the Independence?
No, that's up at Grings Mill Park. That's when we went up to look for the ghost of the lady in the canal.
So there's a woman, supposedly there's a place in a canal that haunts this canal that she found out that her husband was having I'm going to give the short version. She found out her husband was having an affair. So this woman took it was 3 of her kids?
3
children, young children. She
held on to
them. She had like a basket of rocks too, right? Like she had like.
Yep, she tied a basket of rocks as they were walking there. The kids were collecting the rocks and putting them in the basket.
So sinister. So the kids are collecting these rocks to put in this basket. She ties the basket and she jumps into the river and drowns them all, herself included. To torture the man for leaving her for this other younger woman. So people have claimed to have seen her, the kids, things like that. So me and Todd went on a day trip to try to see if we could see some, get some activity there. We did not, but it was a cool place to visit.
Yeah, it was neat. It was tough to find.
There's so much to see. You have the Daniel Boone Homestead. You have Hopewell Furnace. Hopewell Furnace is like a Batstow Village, or it's just a really cool place. I wish we could get in there. Ugh.
Yeah, well, there is actually in Charlie Adams's Ghost Stories books of Berks County. There's 2 stories about out there. Okay. Supposedly in the big house, the house we went in.
Well, remember when me and you were in the feeder, that little feeder? Remember we got that EVP in there?
Yep. Yeah, you had said, "Do you want us to leave?" And they said no.
No, yeah.
I think that's what it was. But supposedly there was a worker like back then who died, and because the ground was frozen and they couldn't travel the roads, they buried him in the basement of the house until springtime. And then supposedly they forgot about him.
Oh, wow.
And so that's one of the things. But then there's a story about the blacksmith shop where a lady who was working there heard the pinging, ping, 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 and saw shadows in there, and it was locked up and nobody was in there.
Well, and one of your relatives lived in one of the houses.
Yeah, my great grandmother. That was before it was a national park.
Yeah.
And then Michelle's great Nathan Kerr. He actually was one of the caretakers out there, and he actually stayed in the big house, and he also stayed in that other house that you tried to crawl in every window that
I did not. Not me. I don't do that stuff. I don't do B&Es.
Tons of history around here.
Yeah. I can't wait to get there. I'm looking so forward to it. Todd, thank you again for joining us. Again, please, everybody, go check it out. Birdsboro, it's an hour from Philly. It's an hour from Jersey. It's near, where would you say the closest?
Reading. It's between Reading and Pottstown.
Yeah, Reading, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. October 17th is for kids, 1 parent per child, and the parent is free. The child is $25. And that's from 6 to. Yeah,
I think is it 7 to or 6 to 10?
6 to 10.
I know we made it earlier. The things are posted on the
6 to 10, and then the following night is Saturday and October 18th, and that's for adults. So adults, and that's from 8 to 12.
8 to 12.
Yeah. if
Or
we're
when.
yeah, or later, depending on how it's going. But yeah, everybody, please go check it out. Check out the Facebook pages, look up the history. Bird Mansion's awesome. Eventually, I'm going to help Todd to open up the place for public investigations for paranormal groups. It's just really hard because it is a still working
Yeah, that's the hard part.
community center. So, booking an overnight out is kind of hard because they have to shut down the fitness center. They have to close doors, and people have pay memberships to be there. So they have to be very selective. So it's not like a property that could be open every single weekend or every single Friday for paranormal stuff. You know what I mean? So that's the only tough part. Anybody has any suggestions, we're welcome to them. But anyways, with that being said, everybody please go check it out. The Paranormal Peaches. Oh, Todd also runs Bird Paranormal. It's Birdsboro Investigation and Research. What was it? Division. Research.
Yeah, I don't know. You came up with it.
I did. I came up with it. He went from hunting bad guys to hunting dead guys, I said.
That's the slogan. My slogan.
He went from hunting the bad guys to hunting the dead guys. So, but yeah, check him out. Well, there's also a couple other properties that people have invested. I mean, you have Britton Lodge. What was the winery we did, which was really super cool?
Ridgewood
Winery. That was amazing. We actually that was.
It was quiet for almost the whole night, except for like 15 minutes of chaos.
Holy shit, that was so cool, though. I'll take that 15 minutes overall. Like,
that was neat.
I mean, I thought the owner was walking around. Like, I heard the footsteps and the music boxes are going off, and then we heard the voice, and you hear the ting.
And I actually heard the voice, and I don't usually hear them.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I'm sitting right here," and we're all like, "What?" Yeah. We couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
Yeah, the candle was knocked over.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting place.
Well,
yeah, the Britton Lodge, though, I don't know. Twice we did that.
Yeah.
And didn't really get anything.
No, I know. But you know what?
Supposed to be the most haunted place in.
But yeah, some places are like that though, where you have you got to spend more time. You know what I mean? I believe that I believe that they've experienced the stuff that they've experienced for sure. I mean, there's so much history there, and there's a reason that the owners are there. I mean, that whole story is a little freaky to me. You know what I mean? It's almost like it was fate that they became the owners, but I believe that there's it just for some reason we're going either at the wrong time or we're just either
I don't know. And again, like I said, down there sometimes it just seems like they're a little afraid.
Yeah, quiet.
They don't want
but you're not always going to. And that's the beauty of what we do. You're not always going to find stuff. You're not always going to get. You're not always going to have paranormal experiences. You're not always going to. It's not like what we show you on the YouTube sensationalized YouTube channels. You know what I mean? Like that.
Because where everything's put into a half an hour or an hour. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just
a lot of boredom.
Yeah. Or we're joking around with each other. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the fun part. The event, that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But then you have all the work afterwards.
I know.
Sitting there with headphones on, listening to
hours
of just dead silence and everything else. It's like, yeah, I do that a lot. I fall asleep sometimes.
It sucks too, because then you're like, I gotta rewind it and go back.
Yeah.
But all you need is that one EVP that makes it all worth it.
Oh yeah. Yep, it keeps you going.
So
yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me. Michelle, if you're watching, I love you. I miss you. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for everything that you do when we come to Bird Mansion, because she's awesome. She always makes sure we either have food at Bird Mansion, or she's always making sure we got everything we need, and she's always running people around and doing stuff, and I love her for that. She's great. So yeah. Next
October 17th and 18th.
October 17th and 18th. We're going to be at Bird Mansion, me and the Peaches and Bird Paranormal. And I'll go live. I always say I'm going to go live and I never do, but I will.
Yeah, we should. We should do that.
Yeah.
Or, well, hey, get a membership. Get a membership. You can come in the fitness center at 3 a.m. and see what you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool. All right, Todd. Well, Sarah, thank you for coming on and talking about one of my favorite places. And I will see you soon, sir.
All righty.
Everybody else, thank you for joining us. And until next time, sweet dreams.